Hey everyone! So as promised, here is the review of the different kinds of air clay. I am going to review 7 clays in total. Some of them are German brands, so I'm going to be reviewing this one. And I got this at a German store called NanuNana. Then I'm going to review the Fimo Basic Air Dry Clay in white. Then some brands that some of my American viewers might know, or even Japanese viewers. This Kaminendo by Daiso. And I've never worked with air dry clay before, so all of this is new to me. Then there is this angel clay. It says no Nendo, I don't know, it probably Tenshi no Nendo, because Tenshi is angel. So this one, and it's very lightweight. Then Hearty, super lightweight modeling clay, also in white. So all of the clays are in white, as I'm going to try to color them in with acrylic paints. Then I have, lastly, these 2 homemade brands. So this one is by Miniature Suite, and it's just this small pocket, or here, Ziploc baggie here. And then Sophie and Toffee's air dry clay here. Okay, so let's get into what I want to review. So I made a list here on my phone, since I don't have any paper at hand right now, which is really weird, but whatever. So I'm going to test the 7 types according to texture. So I'm going to look for the color, how moist the individual clays are, how workable they are, their softness. Also with texture, like in some clays I've seen people work with, it's like you can almost like see snippets of paper in there or something. Yeah, and then if it's able to hold its shape after it is dried. Then I'm going to make 3 shapes with each brand. So I'm going to roll out a thin sheet and a thicker sheet, and I'm going to try to keep them equal sized. And then I'm going to like try to bend these. And I'm also going to make donuts with all of these, because that's what I originally bought the air dry clays for, so I can make lightweight, huge donut necklaces with them. And for that I'm going to color in the clays with acrylic paint. I'm going to use yellow and ochre for that. Then I will look at how long it takes for each clay to dry completely. Then I will test the durability of the pieces. For that I'm only going to use the sheets. I'm not going to try to break the donuts, because I want to like sell them or wear them, you know. So I'm going to try to bend the sheet pieces. Then Sophie and Toffee, I think it was, they advertised their air dry clay with squishiness. So I'm going to try for all the brands if they are squishy after they have dried, which would be really, really awesome. And also I will test the squishiness of the donuts, especially before and after decorating them with the Sophie and Toffee deco sauce. Here's just an example of that. I have all the colors they have. I think it's like 16 in total or something. And also I'm going to add some sprinkles and stuff, but you'll see. And then I will draw a conclusion as to what clays to use what for, and stuff like that. So before we get started, I know this table looks really ugly, but since all the clays are white or whitish, I chose not to lay down a white piece of paper, because then you wouldn't have been able to distinguish the white paper from the white paper clay. And also the weather has been crazy. It has been raining, hailing, and snowing, and sometimes the sun is out like it never happened, like it's like one of the most beautiful summer days. So the lighting might change throughout the video, just so you know. It's not my fault. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the clay that I showed you first, which is this one. Okay, I'm sitting facing the window, so I hope the lighting will stay constant. So I've went ahead and taken out a bit of the clay that I showed you, the Do&Dry from NanuNana. And it is kind of moist, but it's not like sticking to your fingers too much. You can see a little bit came off when I like smeared it over my finger. So it's a little sticky. Now it's getting stickier. So as you work with the clay, you might find pieces of it all over your finger. Let's try to get a really thin piece. So you can already see here that it's like, what is the word for it? So it's like little paper rips that you can see. See here also. So you might not be able to like make really small things with it. Okay, I've tried to make it smooth, but you can see it's not enough to just press and roll, so you might have to do a lot of smoothing. But I think that's normal for paper clay in general, because I've seen, I don't know her name anymore, I linked it in the description box below. She made a huge Totoro and it took her a lot of like smoothing out, so you might have to smooth a lot more than usual. What else? There is a slight chemical smell to it, so it smells a little sour, like acid, like normal acid that you would cook with. But other than that, it's not like uncomfortable working with it or because of the smell or anything. So yeah. So I'm going to use my rolling pin to roll out the little sheets. I do not have my pasta machine with me right now, so I don't know if you can like use it with a pasta machine. By the way, I will have this little sheet of white paper here just so you can compare the white of the paper to the actual paper clay. So this is a little darker, but it still looks white. I'm going to like compare all the different clays with each other after I've prepared all the sheets. So to get the same height for all the sheets, I'm using these two, what are they called? Toothpicks. And then I'm rolling out the clay. And it's easy to get it off the work surface, just as with polymer clay that you have to bake. So that's fine. So I don't have to use a blade to scrape it off the work surface or anything. So this is going to be the thicker sheet, and you can see although I've cut it with a blade, it still looks like this, so I'm going to try to get this smooth. Okay, but you can still see that the edges are a little rough. So for the thinner piece, I took a piece of paper and folded it twice so that we now have 4 layers of paper. And it's the same paper I use for the color comparison. And it still comes off the work surface fairly easily. Okay, so here is the thinner piece, and it's like impossible for me to clean off the edges, so I'm just going to leave it like that and let it dry. Unfortunately, the package instructions do not say how long it takes to dry. I'm guessing it takes 1 day, so I'm going to check all the clays after half a day, so the strips, and then after 24 hours, maybe even a little bit longer, to see how long it takes to dry. Of course, if you make like thick pieces like the Totoro in the video that I will link in the description box, it will take a lot longer to dry than thin strips like this. So I decided to make some snakes too, or logs. So I'm going to try to roll this out. And it feels very different from polymer clay, so it feels like it's like ripping under my fingers. So usually I would roll and then like pull it to the sides. I feel that I cannot do that to the extent that I use this technique with polymer clay. Yeah, you can see it's already starting to crack a little bit. Please focus, camera. So, yeah, you can see I haven't applied much pressure and it's still ripped. Yeah. So you cannot roll out thin snakes with this. I'm going to let this dry. Also, just to see how durable this piece will be. It is cracked a little bit here, so let's take that off. So we will see how squishy or like bendable it will be when it's completely dried. So let's try using some water to clean up the like cracks here. Just dipping it in. And then I'm trying to smooth that out. I mean, it looks smooth, but you can still like see the little cracks. So I rolled it in my hand again, and I mean, it's smooth on the surface, not the side, I smoothed out the side, but the little cracks and lines are still visible here and there, so it's a little hard to get rid of those. Okay, so let's turn to the donut, so to coloring the air dry clay. So I've already prepared some acrylic paint in yellow and in ochre. So first I'm going to take the yellow, and I'm just going to knead it in. Okay, after about 2 minutes of mixing, I ended up with this color. Here, compared to the white paper again. And then I'm going to press this flat a little bit. It already looks like kind of a dough color. And then I'm going to take a little bit, not all of which I put here, of the ochre color, and I'm going to mix that in also. And prepare to get your hands all dirty. You might want to add in a little water because a lot of mixing like gets the clay really dry. So have a little container with water ready just so you don't need the clay all dry. Okay, so coloring in the clay worked perfectly fine. It feels a little dry to me, but it's still very workable. You can still, of course, see the fibers when you rip pieces off. And making the donut, I will probably need some more water. And I'm also going to use some chalk pastels to dust on the top of the donut. So get out an eye screw or a head pin, whatever you prefer. If you want to turn this into a Okay, so the donut is about ready. I'm not going to worry about the back side too much. So I have to smooth it out quite a bit. There is some dirt on here, but I'm going to cover that up with chalk pastels in a second. So to insert the head pin, I'm first, as always, going to punch a hole. The center of the donut is a little off center, but I don't think that really matters, so I don't know, I think I'm gonna go with this. And I did not have to twist the needle whatsoever. You can, but you don't have to, because it doesn't distort the shape, luckily. And then try to stick in your head pin. And then a little more smoothing. Okay, so I managed to fairly cover up the head pin from the inside also. So let's go ahead and get out the chalk pastels. So I'm taking this brush. I don't know if you can see, but this is not sticking onto the clay at all. So I'm gonna make some more of the yellow and mix it with some water. Okay, so this does not look like a donut at all, I think. So I will try to like dust on, or like I hope that the other air dry clays will let me dust on the chalk pastels. So it looks kind of good on camera, but I'm not happy with it. Here's the hair. So that's what it looks like so far. I'm not going to make another donut with this air dry clay. I'm just going to set this aside, and I'm going to let this dry for 12 hours and check if it's still squishy, like not dried yet squishy, and then I'm going to check it again after 24 hours, and if it's still not dry, I will let you know. So a first comment on this air dry clay. So far I've been pretty happy with it. It like when you like rip it, it shows fibers. So I've already tried out making air dry whipped cream with this. So like Whipple, I think it's called, for Decoden. The fibers still show, so no matter how much glue I mixed in, the fibers were still visible. It looked fine on the cupcakes in the end, but I wasn't as happy because you could tell that there were glue pieces and that there were clay pieces in the whipped cream that I used for like miniature cupcakes. But yeah, the smoothing process takes a long time, but that's normal with air dry clay, I heard, so I think that's fine. This package is rather heavy, so this whole block is about as large as my hand, but it weighs half a kilo. So it says here 500 grams, that's the color. Vice is white. So it is rather heavy, so I might not be able to use it for necklaces because I want lightweight necklaces. So I'm going to show you all the different clays in comparison. So the whitest one is probably this one, which is Daiso. Whoops, sorry you can't see. So let me zoom in. It's the Daiso. And I marked the times when I was done with the pieces, or about half the time, so that I can actually like measure 12 and 24 hours. So again, you can see that this clay is really great compared to all the other clays. So the one next to Daiso, the Angel Clay, is a warmer color. Hearty is not as warm as the Daiso, so Daiso is like the brightest white that I have. And this one is the first one that I tried, so the one by NanuNana, and it is comparable to the Hearty Clay in color, but not in weight. So these two are the German brands, and they are really heavy. Again, remember they came in a half a kilo pack, so they're really heavy. So here is all the donuts that I made, and also I marked the little stripes with 12 and 24 hours. And if I managed to make a snake, I indented it once for 12 hours and twice for 24 hours, just so you know. So there's those. Oh, and of course the donut is not ready yet also. So I'm going to try to get this off the work surface. So the back of the piece is still a little moist. So I'm guessing that this is not dry yet. Let's try bending this, and I can already like, I'm guessing that it'll break. Yep. Oops. So that's the NanuNana clay. That was the thicker piece. That's the thinner one. Still, this is also a little moist. And this is still really bendable. But also this one. Oh, it held its shape. But now it's through. So this one breaks too. So it's not dry yet, so you might have to let it dry a little longer. And this one also snaps really easily. And it's still a little moist, so it's just too early. And this one, since it's so heavy and huge, is also not done yet. I'm guessing that none of the donuts are, because they are all a little moist in the back. Yep, all of them. So it is time to review the first clay. That was the Do&Dry by NanuNana. So we've already like checked the 12-hour pieces. They are still moist, so I'm guessing that these, sticking to the work surface, are also still moist. Now I'm not going to break this piece just because it still feels a little wet. So this has not dried completely yet. This might be dry, but I don't really know. So it is bendable, but it feels really fragile. And the edges are frizzy. I don't like that. So you can actually like feel the fibers, which is really weird. So, yep, it broke just like that. So I'm going to let this sit for another day or so, and hopefully after another 24 hours this will be completely dry. Of course the donut is not dry yet. It's as heavy as ever, and it still feels like moist. There, I don't know another good word for it. Sorry for repeating myself. And this is just stiff, so yeah, breaks really easily. So yeah, not good. So you guys, a week has passed, so I let this dry for a week in total, and I switched filming sites because I'm back home. So let's have a final look at all the products. So these are the strips of the NanuNana clay, and still they break rather easily. The thin strips are very light, but still they rip. They do feel kind of like paper, like heavy paper. But as far as I can tell, there's no fibers visible. But there are fibers visible here, you can tell, right here on the edge. And again, this breaks really easily. You can try ripping it. Yeah, it even rips. And I think the same goes for the larger pieces. I'm pressing lightly, enhancing, and I feel it on the left side. There you go. But that's where I marked for the hours. So this doesn't break as easily, so it's fairly flexible a little bit. So I think I just put two pieces on top of each other, and it's harder to break those. So maybe the thicker the piece, the stronger it is. So that's the 12-hour piece, and I already broke it in the middle. But I don't think I can rip it apart. No, it's still intact. So let's turn to the donut. It looks disgusting. So I think I painted this on with chalk pastels mixed with water, and it just looks really ugly. It looks like the two parts like reacted with each other, and it's really not pretty at all. And again, there's a little no, it's not a shimmer, but you can tell that that's the surface where the donut lay to dry. And it's really heavy. I cannot break this, and of course it's not squishy at all. Maybe if I push really hard I can condense the material, but yeah. So that would not be an option for me. This clay, just because it easily breaks, it is very heavy. It's not squishy at all. And I mentioned before, I tried making whipped cream with this once, but no matter how much glue I put into the mixture, which made it of course more liquid or liquidy, the fibers were still visible, and I don't like that about this clay at all. So this one is definitely not a winner. Okay, you guys, so the most expensive clay that I found is the angel clay. It comes in a pack of 80 grams, but still it's €8. I do not know the dollar prices, so it might be around $5 or something. No, not $5, $10 to $12, I don't know. The rate changes every day, so it's it's €8. Then the hearty clay, which comes in a pack of 50 grams, is €5. The Daiso brand, it didn't say how much it weighed, but it's 290 cubic centimeters. I don't know how you say it in English, and it was $3.50. Then the Fimo Air, so the one of the German brands, came in a block of 500 grams, and it's €8. So it is great clay, which is not durable and really heavy, and it's a hell of expensive. So keep your fingers away from that stuff. And the Do&Dry by NanuNana, oops, also came in a pack of 500 grams, but it was only €2. It is white clay, and the fibers are visible, but still, if you just want to like have fun with your kids, then that would be a great option, at least for German people. I think this is a brand from the Netherlands, so you might be able to get it there. I don't know if they only sell it in Germany. I have no idea. So, but yeah. And also the Daiso brand, I mean, I could only find it on the internet, so there are no stores here in Germany where I could find this. But if you live in the US or somewhere where you can just like buy Daiso at your local craft supply, then this will probably also be a great clay, just because it is kind of inexpensive, it is lightweight, and it is easy to work with the clay, although it did become really sticky and stuff when I added too much water, but still this clay would work. These clays I kind of like had to fight with myself to buy them, because they were just so expensive for me, and I don't know, I usually just buy findings online and charms, so this was not a good purchase for me, just because I probably won't use these, because these three paper clays, they dissolve in water, and that's just, I don't know, then what's the point of making something, right? So yeah, whatever. So here is the second place. It's the Miniature Sweet Home brand, and it came in a pack of 20 grams. I don't know if you can read this here. It's really small, sorry. Let me zoom in and move the camera a little bit, because these two are the most important ones. So it came in a pack of 20 grams, and it did come in a Ziploc baggie. I don't have that clay with me right now, but it came in a Ziploc baggie. It is possible to get it out and is airtight, so the clay doesn't dry on you. But it was easier getting the Sophie and Toffee clay out of the packaging just because it was a little container, and which was, well, is also airtight. So this was more convenient. But still, so 20 grams for €1. So probably about, I don't know, $1.50, or $2. And my number one clay, the Sophie and Toffee brand, my winner of this review series, came in a pack of 30 grams for $1.40 or $1.50-ish. It really depends on the rate, as I explained earlier. So, Sophie and Toffee, you are my absolute winner. I love your clay. It is squishy, just like you said, and it is very durable. So, yeah, I hope that I can buy a lot of this clay in the future to make very many beautiful bracelets with it. I will now try to decorate my two winner donuts with some drizzle that I bought off of Sophie and Toffee, and I will also decorate them with other stuff and then show you the finished products, and if the donuts are still squishy afterwards, or if you squish them, that the decoration comes right off. So yeah, keep watching for another few minutes. By the way, here is a real squishy donut that I bought, and it is much squishier, of course, just because this material was meant to be transformed into a squishy. Just for comparison. So the Sophie and Toffee brand and the real squishy.